Hi, I'm Manny, and I've been like a pendulum lately where I kind of go back and forth and back and forth with procrastination, productivity, but I do a lot more procrastination than I do productivity. When I say productivity, I don't mean like, hustle to be successful. I just mean like do the things I enjoy doing but that take effort to do, which I guess you'd call that like a hobby or a simple pleasure or something. But for me, it feels like a job, and I don't want it to feel like a job. I want it to feel like it's fun, and I do it because it's fun and I like it. But thankfully, it's kind of swung around, and now I'm at the part where I'm so utterly sick of procrastinating that my body literally just says, just draw. Like I don't care. I'm tired of fighting with you," which is pretty cool. Anyway, what I'm drawing here is going to be a sort of selfie type composition of Aoi Morohoshi from Warframe, which is a totally awesome free to play game that you should play, by the way, not sponsored. Um, and I wanted to make it look like this was like a sexy selfie that she took to send to the main character, because you can like romance a lot of characters in that game. Well, quite a few characters, and Aoi's probably my favorite. I might do some of these for the other like characters, but for now I'm just focused on this, where she, because the character has magnetic power, so she's using the magnetic power to hold up a camera in the right position, and then with her other hand she's gonna like push the button to, like, have it be a creative way of showing off the character's abilities and also being just generally sexy because I like that stuff. And getting back to what I had said way earlier, there seems to be this whole thing that nobody can like do art as a hobby anymore. I mean, I'm sure there are people, but as far as I know, like whenever anybody gets into art, it always like the meta goal seems to be to sort of like be able to monetize it or do something with it other than to just enjoy yourself. And I feel like, at least for me, that kind of stuff becomes poison because then it feels like an obligation. And the more I get the sense that the more pressure I put on myself to want to do it, the more my body's gonna fight me. But if it was just a hobby, if it was just something I did for fun and for enjoyment, and not just that, but also these videos, it takes the weight off and makes it a way more easy to actually just do it and enjoy it instead of like feeling that I'm chasing something other than the sheer enjoyment of just drawing. By the way, one thing about this drawing that I'm actually kind of proud of is that like 20% of it I'm flying blind in terms of using reference, because like I've said before, I my imagination is blind, so I don't really see what I want to draw in my head. I just kind of create a reference board of pictures that sort of have a vibe, a pose, a look that I want to go for, and then I just work from there. And usually one of those pictures is the exact pose that I want the character to be in, like the angle, the lighting, and everything. So I have that to reference. But for this one specifically, I'm changing up a few of the elements of the pose, mainly the arms, like because the arms in the actual reference picture are closer to the chest, but in this I'm going to mess with it so that the arms are stretched outwards. One of them is kind of holding the camera in place and the other one is reaching for the button on top of the camera. And I might play around with the colors so that the flash from the camera is kind of putting out a little lens flare that perfectly censors the parts that the camera isn't censoring. But that's for way later. Right now, I'm just focusing on establishing all the visual patterns and elements on her body because she is kind of a sort of cyborg, but she does have a human anatomy underneath it all. So I'm having a little bit of trouble kind of coalescing all that and making it so that you can see, oh yeah, she is a cyborg, but she can also like be naked the way a normal person can. By the way, one thing I wanted to give an update on is that I'm still not sure what I want to do color wise when it comes to my work, because right now I'm just gonna keep experimenting and just like it's just vibes at this point. Like I don't even really have a plan on what I'm gonna do because I don't I don't think I know color as well as I know just plain drawing, and not practicing more on that is really setting me back tenfold because, as I clarified before, I want to think of this as a hobby to take the pressure off of, to take off the pressure that would make me procrastinate. But then I get into a thing where it's like, okay, but what's my art style? And part of taking off the pressure is sort of coming to terms with the fact that it can be whatever I want. Not every piece has to be exactly the same or made the same way. But then I get into a thing where I'm autistic, so I like there to be order and a process and something I understand like step by step. And that gives me comfort. And so I'm kind of stuck in this limbo of wanting to accept being spontaneous when it comes to making art, but also wanting a process that I can rely on whenever I feel like lost or directionless in art. Cause I've spent so much time taking art seriously and even just flat out doing something that you shouldn't do, which is tying your self-worth and your identity to art, which is bad because it only puts even more pressure on you and makes it even harder to just do the thing, do art. So, if you're doing that or if you're thinking of doing that, do not attach your self-worth, self-image, and self-value to art because like any other craft, you're gonna have good days and bad days, and that shouldn't be a measure of how you judge yourself because it'll just lead to you having a freaking existential crisis every other drawing. But yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at in terms of art. I'm just gonna keep vibing and experimenting and not take it as seriously as I used to because it hasn't really done me any good. Um, so next time, who knows? I may ink it, like try a little bit of inking, because there's an artist on Instagram I follow who does like these really, really cool digital inks. And I might want to try that, or I might just want to try rendering with the gouache brush. I don't know. The sky's the limit. Cause it's not really it shouldn't really be about, the art making me valuable. It should just be about me doing art because it's fun. But anyway, that's all the yapping I've got for today. Thanks for listening and or watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.